You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan and Kaan.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Orada Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksın kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Roma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Hello Black Eagles and welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. My name is Kaan and as always I am joined by my co-host Sinan live from New York.
Yeah, what's happening, folks? I don't know why I'm in a good mood. We have nothing positive to report, but carry on, Kaan.
Yeah, I mean, last episode was pretty positive, right? We came off of 2 wins under Fernando Santos, and a win before that as well with Seda Topek. We had scored 11 goals, conceded 0. That has changed.
Drastically.
Yes, drastically, yeah.
I think late in the last episode, you even said, like, let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? Like, this is just day 2 or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but this, I couldn't be dissuaded. I was sure that, like, the horizons were bright. I don't even have a good expression.
I mean, you have to look at the team, right? And you have to look at what is going on in terms of quality on the pitch. I think our chance creation has gone up significantly, even in these last couple of games. The Pendik game wasn't... I don't remember a lot of chances in that one. But, yesterday against Adana Demirspor, we created chances. I think that's a positive because there was a point there where I think we had more quality on the pitch because we didn't have everyone off to the Africa Cup yet. And we weren't creating anything. I think that's definitely improved. But then also, like, the whole uninspiredness, the whole... the team looking demotivated, not really wanting to be there thing was kind of gone. I saw it again in the Pendikspor game, but not until I think 2-0 or something, which is kind of understandable. This team is on the road. I mean, we are getting back a little bit, but this is still a team that's on the ropes, and it's not gonna take a lot in terms of setbacks, I think, to...
Well, yeah, that's actually perfect. That's exactly the point I think that needs to be made, is that I think we have all the benefits of having a new manager, people wanting to impress, all of that. But because of how, I think the word might be traumatic, much of this season has been, I think a lot of guys, like, it doesn't take much to get derailed before it's in their heads, and it's like, oh, here we go again. And the Pendikspor, I think, was the perfect example of that. And it was such a deflating, right? Because we were hardly, like, in the first half, I should say, we were not the worst side at all.
No.
And it was just like the first goal was okay. Like, people want to pick on Tayfur. Sorry, 1 second. People want to pick on Tayfur for that because he was like a little out of position. He was a little slow to respond or whatever. But for me, it was fairly obvious that it was just a incredibly well-struck ball on the one hand by Umut Nair. Go ahead. I think you're going to say what I was going to say. The second part is our goalkeeper, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get it. Like, he plays the, in Dutch they call it a panna. He plays a panna through the legs of Tayfur and immediately smashes it. I don't think Mert expects that ball to come. And I understand that his reaction is a little bit late, but... I didn't like Mert in that game. I thought he looked really, really unfocused. Like you said, people like to pick on Tayfur because he's the easy target. Right now, it's Onur, it's Tayfur, and it's Cenk, right? The guys who are getting all the hate. You can't really... I think it's difficult to blame those guys when... The level of the team just at the moment is just so low, and also you have to look at what Fernando Santos has to work with right now. our best left back is gone. He's off to the AFCON. Also, don't underestimate the absence of Omar Colley, because Omar Colley being absent also means you have less. Like, for example, the last 2 games we had to play with Demir Ege. Or was it the last 2 games? At least the last against Adana Demirspor. At least Demir Ege, Tayfur, and
I think it
Jetson.
is.
Yeah, last 2 games. So Demir Ege, Tayfur, Jetson has been our midfield. That is an incredibly, in my opinion, incredibly weak midfield.
Like Pendik, we played Zainuddinov in the midfield. Oh no, sorry, it was Tayfur, Jedson, and Demir Ege.
Yeah,
and it's always some variation of that. Yeah,
it's been that in the last 2 games, and I think in our group chat I mentioned, look, this is a right. If you look at the league table, like in Belgium they say rechter kolommetje, right column. So if you look on teletext, if you remember teletext days, you have to have the left column of the top 9, and then the right column was 10 to 18. So if you look at this midfield is a right column midfield. Like Jetson's the only one in that midfield that is of a Beşiktaş, Galatasaray, Fenerbahçe level type of player. Demir Ege is not that player yet. He might be at some point. I have my doubts about it. I think he has things going for him, but I think he has a lot more things that he really needs to improve, among which is probably the most important one is his physical attributes.
Yeah, he needs to not skip leg day.
He needs to, yeah, but it's just like he's a really big fucker. He should be bullying guys off the ball. It should be impossible to get him off the ball, but he's not. He's not that type of he's not he's.
Well, okay. What I'll say about Demir Ege, because I've been really hard on him.
I always we both have.
I always like Demir Ege, even Ridvan back in the day a little bit. Like there are guys who I always find they're just lacking a bit of polish to such an extent that you can see it going both ways for them. And the problem, sorry, I'm saying a lot. I sound like a California teenager.
Whatever.
You know what I'm saying? No, but the problem is that if you look at our track record of developing talent, it's either complete hit, Sergen. I mean, he didn't even really count as our talent, but you know what I'm saying.
He did, yeah,
we've had a few.
Of course he did.
Guys, okay. I mean, so we have either a complete hit or we have just this track record of pretending that we're developing guys that by loaning them out, but every single loan ends up being a guy plays 6 or 7 times, doesn't quite establish himself, and a lot of times it kind of feels like nonsense. Why did Fatih Karagümrük just replace? I'm
Emre
forgetting
Bilgin,
Why would they?
Who has
he was
been
playing fine.
really well, but then they have to go and get Sirigu, and
now it doesn't make sense.
And Emre was playing fine, was playing really well even. He doesn't deserve to get replaced, but I get Karagümrük. Of course, they don't own Emre.
Sure, yeah, they're just working. They're just thinking about their own interests.
Yeah, and they have an opportunity to sign a good goalkeeper. But this is why I've been literally for a decade now, over a decade, have been yelling for we need a B team in the lower division, in the in the Birinci League would be fine. A whole season of Birinci League football for Emre Bilgin would be great. He doesn't.
Didn't they almost start a reserve league and then freaking Galatasaray said no, so they just axed the whole project?
Well, I'm not a big fan of reserve leagues because reserve leagues you don't play at a good level.
They're not very competitive. No, I think you're absolutely right. I think a B team or where you can put your youth team into the 3rd division or as high as the 3rd division or whatever it is, one of the the Spanish style?
In Spain, in Spain they do it. In the Netherlands they do it. In Belgium they've got a couple of clubs now in the 2nd division. In Spain it's the 3rd division, but in Belgium and in the Netherlands it's the 2nd division. I think in Germany they have something like that, but they play a lot lower there. They play regional leagues there, I think. But
which is cool too, though. Honestly, some. Actually competitive matches for these kids to get their feet wet.
I think it also largely depends on how much potential of professionalism do you have in your country. For example, in Belgium and in the Netherlands, the amount of professional football clubs is a lot more limited. In Spain, there's a lot more professional football clubs. So it makes more sense that they play maybe a league lower. But I think in Turkey, in the Birinci League, which is the second division, I really think that Beşiktaş, Fenerbahçe, Galatasaray, Trabzonspor having a B team in there that is permanently rooted in that league, cannot promote, can relegate. I think they should be able to relegate, but they should not be able to promote, obviously, because of conflict of interest. I think that would be fantastic for young players, and it would go a long way for kids like Emre Bilgin, who right now, I mean, he's not gonna get a chance. We still have Ersin, you know.
You know what, Kaan?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
I keep interrupting, but I don't want to like lose track of this. I actually think that you could probably make the argument that it would be even more beneficial to all the other kids on the other teams who would now be playing against much better competition with the big clubs sending their younger kids and their development projects into that league to play against them. I mean, it would benefit the development of Turkish football from the ground up, and that's exactly what we've been lacking for.
I'm a big proponent.
30 years.
I'm a big proponent of it. In Belgium and in the Netherlands, there's some negativity sometimes about it because these kid teams often play in relatively empty stadiums. But in Turkey, I mean, look. Half these clubs like all those Istanbul clubs that aren't the big three play almost for nothing. You know,
exactly.
What's Eyüpspor right now? They play for cats and mouses. You know, Pendikspor play for a couple of hundred people. You know, Kasımpaşa, Başakşehir, name them, and then there's plenty left in the lower leagues as well. Those types of municipality teams that just don't attract people anyway, so there's not that argument to be had, I think. But there are pros and cons to it, but I think looking at obviously from our perspective as Beşiktaş fans, there's only pros for us, I think, for football as a whole. There's an argument to be made on both sides, but yeah.
I don't even, because I think those sort of detracting qualities that you speak of, they're almost irrelevant to the Turkish market specifically in that, like, you take a football country like Turkey, where a city like Istanbul is already so oversaturated, and you mentioned it, all the teams you mentioned who have no audience are Istanbul sides, right? And that's also the case with the lower leagues too. And I think if you consider that already they're not going to be attended, I would actually even assume that a youth side for Beşiktaş could probably attract a larger audience than most of those matches would regardless.
Yeah, you could make it interesting, right? You could do stuff like, hey, if you're a season ticket holder for Beşiktaş, you get free tickets for the youth games, and
kids have free entry, you know.
Yeah, like, stuff like that, exactly. You know, there's plenty of things to do with it and potential to do with it, but I think we're going a little bit off topic here. We have the Pendikspor game, so obviously.
That's true. But I just one final note though, Kaan. Tell me right now that if we both lived in Istanbul and we could go see our under-19 side play in the 3 league or even maybe 2 league, you and I would totally meet up on what, like a Thursday night, grab beers and watch the kids play. Are you kidding? That would be a great night. Yeah. I would love to do something like that.
I mean, if I had my life that I have here and I had it in Turkey, I think be at every youth game and all that kind of stuff. When possible, of course. But yeah, it's definitely true. There's a lot to talk about. Not a lot of positive, like you said. But we're talking about our midfield and how the quality of that midfield isn't really, it's not Beşiktaş level. But that's not even. I think our midfield right now, Tayfur, Demir Ege, Jetson, and it's not to pick on Tayfur, it's not to pick on Demir Ege, but like Demir Ege is, I think. It's fine for him to make cameos, and it's fine for him to, or more than cameos even. But he, like, if you have Jetson and you have one other really solid midfielder, and then you put Demir Ege, okay, that can work. But now you're asking Demir Ege to be a carrying force in that midfield already. He's already expected to, he's still how old is Demir? I think he's 19. And he's got how many professional games under his belt? He's got maybe 22, 23 professional matches under his belt now. And he's not an exceptional talent. He's not.
That's probably being kind, but no,
he's not a semi. Semi is ready. Demirege he's knocking on the door for. I definitely think Demirege is a Super League level player. I definitely think he is.
No, look. Here's the thing, and I had started saying this, and I kind of got sidetracked on our other thoughts, but our tangents. But I think Demirege underwhelmed me in the vein of others who I'd mentioned previously, and suddenly in these last maybe 2 games, I've thought more highly of him. He's played better. He's looked like he has a pretty decent amount of technical ability, which is odd given his size and frame.
He's
but
a
it
decent
actually kind
passer of the ball for sure.
Yeah, and he has these like good little one-touch kind of lofty balls. But the problem is, and actually your comment earlier kind of put it into context for me. His ability, his skill set, his size, it makes that technical ability seem strange and like, ooh, look at that. But the fact that he can't do the things that he has to be able to do with that size, the physical, he should be bossing that position, makes it, it's like he's good at things he's not supposed to be good at, but he's not good at things he has to be good at. And so
he doesn't have to be good at it. I think if he was a number 10 and he was really good at passing and shooting, and he'd score goals and he'd assist, then I'd have no problem with him not being a dominating midfielder. Despite his height, I wouldn't care. But he isn't. He's an 8. I think he's more an 8 than he's a 6.
And I'll say, maybe this is traditional of me though, but like a big guy like that needs to be using that size to his advantage. If he's just over relying on thinking like being. What was it I called them? Twinkle toes the other day. I was like, oh, look at twinkle toes over here. Because like he did something that was like nice looking but not very helpful. And I feel like it's almost inviting injury. Because like if people start defending you like you're going to do something with flair and you're tall. And maybe it's like the basketball fan in me. I've seen these guys get hurt so many times when they're like too active on their feet but like kind of lanky. But it's just an invitation for injury, man. Obviously, he hasn't been injured. I can't say.
Well, he has, right? Like
he has actually.
He had an ACL injury, and when he.
And that's exactly the part of the body that you worry about.
Yeah, and that's exactly. That's also why I'm quite critical of when there was a picture side to side with Demirege and Simi the other last week, and it was the picture had
like a man and a boy.
Yeah, it had no intention of criticizing. The picture was just like, 2 young players that are doing well for Beşiktaş. But then like if you compare, like Simi has like proper athlete's legs, and Demirege has 2 string
chicken
beans.
Bones. 2 little chicken bones.
No, and I mean, look, like everyone's built differently. Like for example, Atiba was a lanky guy, but he he still had,
how much he worked.
Yeah, and his legs were. He didn't have thick legs, but he had muscular legs still. You don't have to have. Like, obviously, Demirege has naturally thin legs, skinny legs. It doesn't mean he can't have muscles on those legs, though.
Exactly. No, Atiba was like a marathon runner. He probably had he was sleek in his own way.
Yeah. And then it's like Demirege needs to put more work in. He already had an ACL injury. He needs to strengthen those muscles, to prevent that from happening again. And I think he's just, I think he needs to just put more time in the gym, to put it bluntly, and he needs to become less of a, because like he looks gracious when he's on the ball, but then he makes dumb falls. He can't keep up with players. He doesn't have the speed. He's never going to have that speed, but then he needs to make it up. Obviously, that is experience. He needs to make it up with positional awareness and stuff like that. But anyway, look, Demirege might be a good player down the road. I'm not saying he's not a potentially good player now. I mean, he's not bad, but like what I'm saying is this midfield, Jetson, Demirege, Tayfur.
He's not there right now.
That is not a top 5 midfield in the Turkish league. That's not even a top 10 midfield in the Turkish league. So like
no. Well, Tayfur's out of position. Like that also needs to be.
Yeah, of course. But I'm not blaming those players.
Of course not.
I'm blaming the fact that we don't have better right now. And obviously we've been unfortunate. Ox got injured for 4 months. Amir is out for the season. Those are 2 big guys that we lost. And Salih is off and on. Salih's never been very reliable. And I think we already kind of had. I was kind of being an ostrich about this at the beginning of the season, kind of putting my head in the sand about our midfield depth is fine, blah blah blah blah blah. But it's not. And of course we did.
Well, we had Onana, right? We actually had.
Yeah, that's true. We did have Onana,
and the three guys that are injured.
We loaned Onana out, which we should have done. I mean, that's a good decision. But then Ox got injured. Ami got injured, both in a small amount of time and both long term. And we haven't brought anyone in yet in that department. And I think that's a big issue. Obviously, I understand that the board is kind of like, look, this season we know we're going to end either 3 or 4. And those 2 spots are going to get us into the Conference League. It doesn't make a huge difference whether we end 4th or 3rd. So we are not going to rush things, overpay, and do panic buys. I understand that, but at the same time, they brought in Fernando Santos, and they gave him nothing. Svensson came in, but that's it. Like, he has so little to work with right now. Like I said, like the quality just isn't there. And I think against Pendikspor, it's a little bad luck, or like I think Cenk after the game kind of likened it to the Adana Demirspor game, and it kind of felt like that to an extent.
It just fell apart.
Yeah.
I will say that like even Santos, and I feel like sometimes we do this thing where we're trying to read between the lines, and like maybe they're like because of the channel, like there's some sort of like deep philosophy. Some like second double meaning to what he's saying, but like I think Fernando Santos has basically said straight up, this is kind of a glorified evaluation period. Like people, I mean, he even said like this team is lower than the level of our club, of our badge.
Yeah, that's what he said yesterday. Yeah, and he's 100% right in saying that as well. Like this is not. Like, if you look at this lineup, if you look at that squad, this is not a Beşiktaş level squad. Like, this is not even a FEDA season Beşiktaş level squad at the moment, because...
And then he follows it up by saying, we're going to bring guys in, and that's going to be hugely important. We need them. Yeah. But, like, right now, it's just about seeing what we have and evaluating it. Yeah. And, like, I don't have any problem with it. Like, as you say, like, we can totally afford to finish in 4th if that's what it takes.
And the Pendik result is unfortunate, but I think we're always going to struggle, especially in games where we concede early. And that's going to happen. You're not always going to be able to keep the nil, and sometimes you're going to concede early. And I think in games where we concede early, it's going to be difficult. And you also have to keep in mind, Pendik actually are investing heavily in their squad. Yeah, they're like bottom of the league, but look, they just got Umut Nair. Who
would be our best? Who would be starting for us?
Quite frankly, he would be starting for us right now. He definitely would, because if you look at Cenk, and I'm a huge Cenk fan, you know that I don't like all the hate that Cenk is getting right now. I think it's incredibly disrespectful to a guy that's done so much for the club. I've saw some people write stuff like, Samet Aybaba's Prince Cenk and blah blah. I said, fuck off. He's Beşiktaş's Prince. He's won 3 titles with us.
He's our largest transfer.
He's done incredibly important stuff for us, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve criticism.
He's not up to standard now.
It's not his fault, but obviously, since that injury last season, which was very unfortunate, he's not been the same. He's come back this season. He's been slow.
If he was our second striker, nobody would ever have anything to say.
Yeah,
that's all I've been.
I don't even know, because honestly, I think I want my second striker to be able to come off the bench and score. And right now, Cenk just isn't that. He's always a step slow to everything. And I still want to give him the benefit of the doubt and time to recover, because he's 32 now. You don't recover as easily as you did, but like, it's been a couple of months now. He should be starting to grow back towards that old level. And look, he still does. Like, I think against Pendik he didn't do much, but against Adana Demirspor he had a couple of good moments where, you know, he played through a good ball to Rasicka, or he did a couple of good things here and there. Ultimately, he was a step slow, and that ended up not scoring a goal because of that and stuff like that.
Well, so let me piggyback on that, because I think, like, when I think about the performance, especially against Adana Demirspor, there's good news and there's bad news, and I'll start with the bad news. like he missed an opportunity. Remember where it came in from the left side? I don't remember who sent it in.
I think at the end. You mean?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And Muleka headed it
Yeah.
into his path,
Yeah.
and Cenk was actually there and just like didn't react, which suggested to me it's not just physical. There's a mental side to it, but that's also the good news. So like the bad news is that like it's not, there's something off about him in general, but the good news is that means that there is something mental that can be kind of turned off and on, and like there's a confidence issue, there's like a mental block right now, and you feel it throughout the whole team. It's like a lack of, I mean, confidence, morale, right? Like these are legit things.
Yeah,
that you have to build. It takes time.
And with Cenk, I mean, I don't know, like, at a certain point, everyone comes to a point in their careers in sports where it's just over. And I think, like, with Gezal, for example, that's like a corpse we've tried to reanimate like 3-4 times now.
This one is not
and that's a very disrespectful way of putting it, because again, Gezal is somebody.
great guy.
Gezal is somebody I don't wanna shit on at all. Like he's done,
even that he's come back from being Kadrodishi is a testament to his attitude, because they've said straight up,
sure.
he's like, he just wants to fulfill his contract. Like, you can't hate that, you know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
but one of the problems with Gezal right now, I think, is that he's unwilling to take the clause out of his contract. He has a clause where he plays 20 games. And if he does, he automatically extends, and he extends for the wage he has, which is 2.2 million a year. And obviously, Beşiktaş do not want that.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I mean, first and foremost, I think the way he has been playing, he doesn't warrant an extension even for 500k. So they
even out of position, it's been subpar.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that bringing him on as a 10 when you have this midfield, Demir Ege, Getson, Taifu, I think that's a sub you have to make.
No, we don't have any other options right now.
Yeah, but also there's always the chance, because Gezal there's a brilliant player in there. So there's
a brilliant pass.
There's always the chance that he gives that one pass that puts someone in front of goal and gets you the goal in like a 0-0 game like this. So there's always that possibility. But I have to say, every time he has come on in recent weeks, I feel like we lost more than we gained. Like, he didn't contribute anything, and it felt like we lost kind of control on the midfield even more. We never really had that control, but the little we had, we lost more ground, if that makes any sense. So
you mean against Adana Demir, you mean?
Yeah, I think we played, like you said, I think against Adana Demirspor. No, you said against Pendikspor, but against Adana Demir, I think we played pretty well in the first half. And in the second half, I feel like we didn't.
This was the opposite one. No, I think your Pendik was where we had a good first half and a terrible second half. And then I think Adana Demir, the second half, remember, we played a man up, and we...
Yeah, but I don't think we played better. I think we played better.
We didn't play very well.
I think we played better in the first half, although Semi did have that shot against the bar. But
speaking to possession, I mean, you were right, though, because in the first half against Adana Demir, they had like something like 60% of the ball. And then, like, we, of course, when we were man up, like, in the end, we had more of the ball, because the second half, although we did nothing with it, we were on the ball more, numbers-wise.
We had very little to show for it. Obviously, we had that chance for Cenk, and we had Simi hitting the bar and stuff like that. And after the game, I think the main thing was people were frustrated with the fact that Simi got subbed off and Cenk played 90 minutes. And that's something I have to agree with. Like, Simi should be staying on. He's even in the first half, and like, not the Pendik game, because Pendik was really a bad game for Simi. I think that was his worst game yet for us. But this game, the Adana Demir game, and all the other games before that, he has looked like the guy that can make something happen. Every time he gets the ball around the box, there's danger, and he doesn't just give it away. It's always like either it gets put out into a corner or something. Like, they always have trouble. They can't catch him. So he is one of those players that can make something happen. Cenk is not any at the moment, and maybe not anymore. I don't know. I want to say if it's a definitive thing, but like even before when Cenk was still really good player, like he was still like he was the guy that got on the end of it. But Simi, you can give the ball to him and he can make something happen. That's also why I'm kind of against these people that are saying, "Oh, Simi should play as a 9. Simi should play as a 9."
Exactly. I was just about to say this.
I really like him on the wing because he can make things happen. He can create things himself, and if you put him as the 9,
it would be a waste of his ability on the ball. He's so talented running with it, and I feel like you put him in the middle like that, and you're kind of like taking that away from him. And what I will say too is that in these last 2 matches, Pendik and Adana Demir, I feel like both of them have realized he's been such a fulcrum for us. They've tried to neutralize him, and it's been so much easier for them to do that with the likes of Umut Meraş against Pendik and Emrecan Terzi this week, because they're not compatible. Their default is to go for the easy pass. So they actually haven't had like bad numbers passing, but they go laterally. They don't make that incisive, right? Like one thing about Masuaku, you always know he's going to try to dink it over the defense and give Semi like a run or whoever he's playing with. And we need someone behind Semi who's going to take if they're going to try to like crowd that side, you need someone who has the ability on the ball to set up Semi regardless, to make a risky, not a risky pass, but like a pass that requires a degree of talent.
But these are the 2 first games where he played on the left line. Before he used to play on the other games, he used to play on the right side, and it wasn't necessarily Onu, but I think it was more Sali that was more compatible and getting involved on that side.
For sure, someone in the midfield.
Yeah, someone. Yeah, exactly. And that's also not there right now. But like, I think Simi was fine against Adana Demirspor. He had a couple of good moments. He had a couple of dangerous moments.
He hit the bar. When he hit the bar, I thought we had.
I thought, exactly. And that just shows how lethal his shot is, right? Like he has such a good shot.
That's why you can't take him out.
That's why you can't take him off. Also, he has that hunger for the goal, which Cenk doesn't have at the moment, and that's also another reason to keep him on. And look, I'm not against Simi as the striker, because Simi, obviously that's his favorite position, that's where he feels most comfortable. I'm not against Simi as a striker, but I am against Simi as a striker if you don't have better options on the wings, and he is a very good option on the wing. So obviously next season, if we can manage to get another good winger, and the Rasicka, the way he's playing right now, he's fine for me. So if we can get one more decent winger, then you can start Simi as a 9. I'm perfectly fine with that. And I'm also perfectly fine with, as the match progresses, this game, you could have easily taken Cenk out, put Rebic on the left, and then just move Simi to the center. I would have been fine with that as well, because Rebic...
Although, did we talk about Eyüp in the last episode?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth noting, and it was a very tiny sample, very small window of opportunity to see it. But Rebic up front with Semi on the left, that was our most explosive, 10 minutes of the season, quite possibly. I mean, that was just chance after chance. You remember, like the 2 of them interacting. I mean, that could probably happen inverted either way. But
the thing,
nonetheless,
I prefer then is Simi in the middle, because Rebic has a very good cross, and you know the thing with Rebic is this season, it's been very disappointing that he can't seem to play 90 minutes, but whenever he comes on as a sub, he does have an impact. I mean, again, in this game, like I keep saying it, but every time he comes on, he creates one chance, and he did it again here, like the chance we were talking about earlier where Cenk didn't score when he should have. That was also Rebic again with the cross. Yeah. And that's always, like, Rebic is always going to have those moments. And I think Rebic is a very intelligent footballer, and Simi is a very intelligent footballer, and them linking up makes, let them link up a little bit. Yeah, exactly. So I think Rebic, Simi, Rasicka is really something that should be tried. But right now, Fernando Santos is kind of pulling a little bit of a channel and refusing to take Cenk out. Which, I mean, I kind of get it, hierarchy and all that kind of stuff, but I think if you're a new coach and you come in, you just need to get rid of that. Like, Necip and Cenk have, like, that captaincy status and all that kind of stuff, but you need to just play the best guys, and right now, Simi is much better than Cenk. And Semi should be making the 90 minutes full unless he is suffering from fatigue or whatever. But I don't know if you noticed, but when he came off, he was not happy. No, he was very annoyed to be subbed off, and rightfully so, I think, because he of course also feels that I can make a difference here. And
so this is, I think, probably the perfect segue to mention. So there's a lot of grumbling about Aboubakar, and by grumbling I mean in the media, on Twitter, obviously among our fans, and that's a whole other conversation which we might have to have a little. But there's this very focused chatter on Fernando Santos. Basically, first it was Fernando Santos just like interested in Aboubakar and like wanting to like talk with him and maybe utilize him, and then yesterday, Fayaz, after our match, gave this long speech and basically said it's up to the coach. You know, he can do whatever he wants with the players we have. Now, first of all, I sure wish that was the case for Rosier. But that aside, it seems like there's a very real possibility that Aboubakar and Fernando Santos are headed towards some sort of peace brokering, and we could very easily see 6 more months of people's not so favorite Cameroonian striker, or some people's favorite. If everyone likes the guy. I mean, I still like Aboubakar in a way, like as a profile. Obviously, he screwed us over a lot of times. Showed not enough in the first half of the season. Still, given what we were just saying about Cenk and the need for something up there, a little more than that. How do you feel about Aboubakar being that option for 6 more months?
Well, the only reason I'm okay with it, or I should say, I think Aboubakar is a player that you can still earn some money on. So I think that if Fernando Santos wants to use him, then I think he should be allowed to. I think Aboubakar also kind of has a little bit of a redemption story that he can go down. And I think we just have to not sabotage ourselves. I mean, look, if we leave him Kadodishi and we don't sell him, so Kadodishi, for those of you that don't speak Turkish, just means left out of the squad, but we're just gonna say Kadodishi. So if he's left that way, it does. I mean, I don't think it devalues him straight away. I think for this window, he has his 23 and 5 goals and 5 assists in the last 12 or so months for Beşiktaş. I think he has value now. But if you're not gonna play him now for 6 months, that does devalue him.
Yeah.
I'm not a big believer in this whole Kadodishi instantly devalues a player. Yeah, sure. I mean, it does give a signal that this is a player they want to get rid of. So he'll probably be cheaper, but it's not like a player that's worth 10 million is suddenly worth 1 million. Maybe into 10 you get 7 or so. So it does devalue the player a little bit, but I don't think it completely devalues the player.
This is perhaps what would be most foolish, though, is for people who are on the Kadodishi train to have decided that because this happened, it's over, their career is over, they're snakes, they're garbage, they're trash, get them the hell out of my face. Oh, yeah. No, that's not the case. Because we have to remember this very specific context that these, 5 guys were made Kadodishi. And the idea was that they were either distractions in the locker room, in a little sort of posse or whatever was the going theory, or were not high enough quality, as I think was the case with Bailly, right? Whatever happened in the end.
I think it was Gezal whose performances just were lacking.
Maybe that's what it was. The point being, though, that whole sort of distractive group, with the exception of Aboubakar and Gezal, who was, I think, as you said, not a part of the distraction, but rather not playing well enough, the rest of them are gone. Which means that, like, the excuse that Aboubakar is a distraction, that should be gone, right? There's no one for him to speak French to, was the theory. I guess he could still speak French with Masuak or something, but at the end of the day, like, I think that whole narrative has to be put into the dumpster with that section of the team that was gotten rid of. And if there's only one element of that group left, it's hard to imagine that excuse for leaving him aside exists anymore, frankly. So I think, in a way, if he's coming back to the squad after the African Cup, he has to be at least in the roster, at least available for use, right? Otherwise, as you say, you're just unnecessarily
either you sell him now or you include him again, because otherwise you are putting yourself in a situation where in 4 or so months he hasn't played 4 months, and teams are going to say, well, we'll take him. He has a heavy contract. You need to keep that in mind as well. And so clubs are going to be like, okay, we will take him off your hands, but we're not paying a fee. And I think that would be a waste, because I think Aboubakar is a player you can still get a fee for, despite the fact that he has a high wage, because the clubs that are going to be interested in Aboubakar are clubs with money. There's a rumored interest from the MLS. There's rumored interest from
Brazil,
the Middle East, Brazil.
No, they're all in like the $3 to $6 million range, like until this big injury. I mean, big. It turned out only 3 weeks, which is probably good news for us in light of this conversation. But yeah, for me, you don't devalue your own assets. It's not good business practice. I think if he's coming back, he's got to be used. And I think if you look at our problem right now, the prospect of playing with Semi and Rashica in his current form, and or Rebic with Abu up front, finally, like we never really even got to see the Rebic Abu thing happen.
We didn't. We never really did. But also,
so annoying.
A point you were making before, and I think you didn't really finish it, but like the whole Kadodici thing, it doesn't have to mean end of your career at a club. Like how many?
It shouldn't. Right?
Look. If you let's say we were all kids once, and we were all in school once, and I'm sure we misbehaved at a certain point. And what did the teacher do?
Detention.
Yeah. Or if you were a small child, what they used to do here in Belgium, they put you in the corner.
Yeah.
Put you in the corner.
Or you get grounded at home.
Yeah. They put you in the corner for 2 minutes or whatever. So like they punish you, but they forgive. Like Kadodici is the same. You punish the players for whatever thing whatever they think that was deemed unacceptable, which I at the time I said, like with Ghezal, I don't think having bad performance is an acceptable reason to put somebody Kadodici, but I do think that behaving poorly or whatever, obviously, if you're distraction in the locker room, if you're creating issues, whatever. That's a different story. But look, it doesn't mean there's no coming back from that. Like our mutual friend earlier said, like if they bring back Aboubakar, they've lost all credibility. And I was like, why?
No, that's not. If you ground your child, does that mean they're like out of the family?
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Good?
Like does that mean they can't enter the house anymore ever? No, of course not. Like, these are your players. They're your, obviously property, but they are your, property in a way. That sounds bad, but
I know what you mean.
They are your assets, exactly. So they have value. So either you use them, you play them, or you move them on and hopefully make some money on them. But you don't just leave them sitting in their room for 6 months while you keep on paying them. That's just shooting yourself in the foot. So we either have to sell him now, but then we probably have to buy a striker, which I don't think they're gonna do in this window. No. It just doesn't seem possible.
We have too many other needs, right?
Exactly. Like they have 3 main focuses they're going for now. They really want the central defender. I don't know why, but they do. I don't understand that. I think there's far more pressing matters, but
I hate that Zaynutdinov is already under criticism because of that one game against Pendik. Because we've had 3 clean sheets in 4 matches with him on that back line.
I thought it was great yesterday against Adana Demirspor, by the way. He cleared every dangerous ball. Like every dangerous ball they sent in the box, he cleared it with his head.
Even his headers, because we had no midfield, he got them far enough out that they weren't putting us in danger when he was clearing with his head. He did. No, I thought he was excellent. And what's funny was that his big mistake in the Pendik match, and I didn't know this, and I've been on the people shouldn't be too hard on Umut or Tayfur, Onur, my feelings on Onur. I'm done with that guy. But so was Fernando Santos, by the way. It should be noted. He didn't even bring him in when he needed a right back. Remember, he put Rashica back there. Anyway, but I will say that on the big play that Zaynutdinov messed up on the goal that we allowed, the 3rd one, I think it was, or the 4th, I didn't realize that Tayfur ran in Like he was so Zaynutdinov was basically a decoy, keeping a body on the striker, and Umut Merash was basically coming in to then get the ball easily, have his back to the striker, and then have the positioning to either let it roll out or whatever it might be. And for some reason, Umut just completely backs off and steers off like you're playing with like Nintendo and like just go the wrong way. Just completely ran off track and it gave them a free goal. So I didn't realize the extent to which it may not have been all on Zaynutdinov, but it wasn't in the end. So the one mistake that be on the team anymore, like, no guys, just come on. And it was like a terrible match. We were already lost. I mean, everyone was despaired. Anyway, that about covers it though, right? I mean, other than we have another game coming up soon on Sunday.
Yeah, we have another game coming up on Sunday, exactly. Sorry for the background noise. My kid is being an ass.
It's all right. It happens. I don't know if people heard me earlier. I had to feed my cat because my smaller one.
Oh, that's what that was. I was like,
cardboard.
I was like, is he eating candy?
No, I had because she was chewing on a box. So if I didn't feed them, we were gonna have an even more annoying noise for the whole episode. So I made an executive decision.
What all of this boils down to is that we lack quality in this team, and we need to improve that. And that is, I think, the next part is that, I mean, fans are getting really restless, and rightfully. I think, I see both sides of it. Like, I think it's, on one hand, I think it's good that the board are taking their time. If they bring in the right people, that is a big condition. Like, I'm kind of like, one of the names that is coming out now, like for example, Nemanja Matic is one of those names, right? And yeah, sure, he's a good player. He's 35 years old already. He's going on 36. I'm fine with that if you bring someone like that in when you have a team that's ready to make a run for the championship, like what Fenerbahce did at the beginning of the season.
Like a Pepe, or remember we got Pepe for the Champions League.
Or like Fenerbahce now with Tadic, and then with Dzeko, and now with Bonucci. They're bringing in these older, experienced guys are all well into their 30s. Two of them are closer to 40 than 30. Actually, Tadic is 35. Dzeko is 38 or 37. Bonucci is 37. So like these are old guys. But it's fine because they're making a legitimate run for the title.
And they complement each other.
Yeah, but with Matic right now, I mean, I kind of get like, look, okay, the idea is we want to build a team that can play for the championship next season. Yeah, okay, maybe Matic can fit into that, but I just don't like it. I'd rather see a 30, 31, 32-year-old. I have no problem with 30-plus-year-olds, by the way, because I really do think that this team lacks experience and leaders. Because if you look at this team right now, if you look at the squad, and you look realistically at who's gonna play next season, and then who's gonna be the leader of that team, if you look at this current roster, who's gonna be the leader?
I mean, you would have hoped Rebic would have grown into that role, but that's clearly not panned out. I guess it's worth noting, happy 33rd birthday, Necip Uysal, wherever you are, Iki Doğdun or whatever. I don't know if you saw that, Kaan. He just turned 33. Was it like
who?
Yesterday or Necip?
Yeah. But like,
so he's a leader.
Like, I have no problem with a couple of older players to lead. A couple of younger players to lead the team. Older players to lead the team. So. Like I said, like the names that are being named right now, like you have Matic, you have Jorginho who's being named, William Carvalho, a couple of other people. But like, for example, like a William Carvalho, he'll be 32 this year. I'm fine with that. That's no problem. Jorginho is 32 going on 33. Again, I'm fine with that. But 35, that's like...
That's a little much.
That's like, That's...
I would actually bet money we're gonna get Carvalho. It just feels like the move.
I don't know.
The profile.
I mean, it's so hard to gauge right now, right? Because the media.
You never know. Yeah.
You don't know with the media how reliable they are right now, and like, but the media everything seems to point to Matic right now, but then how reliable are they? Like, they were completely off when it came to the whole Fernando Santos thing. But then,
And some 28-year-old Portuguese defender from Getafe just came onto the monitors too. You just never know.
Duarte, yeah.
But as far as the 6, though, I feel like Carvalho is the perfect, because he's like a Mendes guy, right? Which is a thing now with Fernando Santos.
Yeah.
He's the right age. He's kind of had that kind of career profile that he'd come in.
Yeah, he's an experienced Portuguese international, over 80 caps, but...
Played with Santos.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a good passer of the ball, but he's also he's physically strong and all that kind of stuff. He can... So, like, he's a good profile for the 6, but... but it's not enough though. Like, even like if let's say they bring a new 6, by Sunday we have a game. It's Wednesday now. If that new 6 isn't there before that game and registered and like able to play, then I really think that Hassan Arat has something to, like, he has to respond and explain. And like, I mean, look, after the game yesterday, Feas Uçak already kind of said, look, we were really close on closing 2 deals with 2 foreign players right now. So
a defender and a 6.
And he didn't specify actually.
Didn't he say he was putting up a 10 till February?
He did say that. He did say that the 10. We are also looking to transfer a number 10, but he did say we're going to wait until the windows in Europe close, so we have more leverage in the negotiation table.
A little bargain bin.
So I'm really curious who the number 10 is gonna be, because we've had it's all been number 6 rumors, all been defender rumors, but we haven't really seen any talk about a number 10 yet. So I'm very curious.
Who was this PSG guy that they just mentioned, like Oriol or something?
No, that's he's from Barcelona.
Barcelona, sorry,
Romeo. He's a defensive midfielder as well.
Oh, is he? I didn't even know.
He's a defensive midfielder. He used to play, I think, for Southampton and stuff like that. So like, he's good. He's good as well. Like, I mean, I think he's 32. So that's again closer to what I'd like. I think, William Carvalho or Romeo or ideally I would love Jorginho, because he's a fantastic footballer.
He's a star. That would compete with our rivals.
Legitimately, I think that's the same caliber of transfer as any of the transfers our rivals have done. But that's not why I want him. I just want him because he's a good player. But then, like Serjan Dikma says, like his annual cost would be like 5 million euros, and that's just... that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Unless we get one of those sponsors, to cover some of the costs.
like Galatasaray, and then end up not paying anyone. No, but the thing is, like, as well, something Ali Eje said as well, is like, look, you can buy 3 stars that earn 5 million a year, and that's 15 million annual cost, or you can buy like 5, 6, 7 average guys, and you pay them 2.5 million a year. It's the same cost. I think you're better off having 3 really good players that lift you to a higher level than you are with 5 okay. Let's take Rashica as an example. Rashica has been good for us recently, but Rashica is not the guy that's going to move the needle, right? Like, do you want to have 5 Rashicas, or do you want to have 3 Dusan Tadic's or Dzekos, right? Like. Yeah, I mean, the only thing is then, like, the balance of the squad's wages, and that's also very important for it's also very important for the board then to make clear to the players, look, we are paying these guys a lot of money, but that's because they are going to bring us to higher highs, right?
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just right now. It's just a waiting game. It feels like this. You expect a number 6 to be signed soon. You expect like today, the news came out that Caglar Söyüncu might be on the close. For the last couple of days, they're all sabotaging me today.
I didn't say even your dog's getting in on the act.
Yeah, for the last few week or so, Yas has been saying what's his name, Sabun or something, I don't know. But very reliable reporter, especially when it comes to Fenerbahce. He's been religiously saying, he's going to Fenerbahce, he's going to Fenerbahce, he's going to Fenerbahce. He only wants to go to Fenerbahce. He's rejecting all offers, blah blah blah blah. But then they haven't worked out a deal with Atletico de Madrid. And now the news came today that maybe he might be going to Beşiktaş actually. So like that's an option as well. But like I don't know how much we can read into it. Like, and then we had Duarte and then this Lascelles from Newcastle. Again, like I think a central defender transfer is the least of our priorities right now.
Agreed.
I think honestly, like a striker would be more prudent, another winger would be more prudent. But I guess the logic is kind of like, look, we kind of have depth at wing right now. We have Semi, we have Rebic, we have Muleka, we have Rasicka, we have Gezal, we have all these players. Bringing in, it's an overcrowded position. Whereas central defender, we have realistically Tayyip Talha, we have Koli, and we have Necip, and then we have Bakhtiar, right? We have 4 for 2 positions, so that's less crowded, I guess. Because Bakhtiar is kind of, he's not really a central defender, but he can play there, whatever. And then obviously, the midfield is something that's very thin right now, so an 8 and a 10. Those are very urgent, I think. And I mean, if I was them, I would say like the 8 and the 10 are much more, or the 6 and the 8, or the 8 or a 10,
whoever.
whatever.
But like we have 3 midfielders.
Those are
like
the midfield is the most urgent position to be filled right now. But I also understand.
Do we have 3? No, because Tyfor is not really a midfielder. We have 2 right now.
I mean, Bakhtiar, like that's one of those things as well. Like if you do bring in a central defender, you do free up potentially Bakhtiar to move to midfield.
Right.
We've always wanted to kind of see him there, right? He hasn't really had the opportunity to play as a 10, for example. And in the beginning of the season, remember, we kind of were like, he could be an interesting option there,
After the Kiev goal.
Yeah.
But I will stand by the fact that I like him as a central defender. His physicality, his kind of contained recklessness. He's reckless, but not in a dangerous Necip, Wellington, he's gonna get a red card. He's more reckless in that he'll sacrifice every part of his body to make sure a ball is cleared, even if it's his face, I appreciate that on that back line. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a great player to have just because of all the utility he offers you. I mean, that's another one of those things, right? Like, what I would have kind of liked to see when Umut got injured yesterday, just put Tayyip Talha and Necip there and put Bakhtiar on left back. Why don't you do that? Because
exactly.
I mean, Emre Can, another one of those players that I thought yesterday,
he was not good enough.
No, he's not, and I don't know if he ever will be. But then at the same time, defensively he was okay, and that's kind of what Umut kind of gives you: defensively okay, offensively nothing, and that's
maybe he's fine for rather than Umut off the bench.
Yes, I mean I'd rather have an academy guy in that position, in that role, than Umut. Right, and not,
and that's no hate on Umut. Umut's fine.
No, it's fine. Like there's also one of those things. Not every academy player has to be a star or a massive talent. It's great if you can get a couple of Nejips in there, because Necip was never a star, but he's been, or
even maybe better than Necip, in a role, though. You know what I mean? It's fine if you get a backup. Fullback or a backup striker or whatever. They don't all have to be what
was his name?
Wonder Kid.
What was his name? Fatih Aksoy?
Fatih Aksoy. Yeah.
Was that his name?
Yeah. Fatih Aksoy. Central defender /6.
Yeah, I mean that's a guy that could have easily had a career as a reliable backup for us. I never really understood why we were so insistent of including him in deals for other players and stuff like that. Because he could have easily been the next Necip.
I wonder how Ahmed Gulay is doing.
yeah, exactly.
Ahmed
Gulay, and haven't heard anything of him. He was supposed to be a big deal. Bad agent though. But yeah, look, not every talent or not every player that's gonna come out of the academy is gonna be a semi. Definitely not. There's gonna be Demirege. There's gonna be the occasional. But look, Emre Can, maybe he can be a good replacement for Umut, because Umut is 28, I think 28, 29. So he's not super young anymore. And there's no reason to keep him if Emre Can is equally good. Umut's contract is expiring, so if Emre Can can do what Umut can do, then why not, right? Like,
Yeah.
let him be the backup, whatever.
Maybe you could even get like 2 million for Umut from like where did he come from? Like France, was it? Like second division?
Yeah. No,
Maybe we could do something like that.
I don't think you're gonna get to.
Probably not. He's already 30.
I think you're. I mean, look,
Like you
Umut's gonna leave on the free at the end of the season. That's just the way it is. I do believe his contract is expiring. I'm not 100% sure. And look, at the moment, like this is another question I kind of want to ask you. Salih Uçan and Cenk Tosun, what would you do with them? Would you extend their contracts?
Well, so now remember, the foreign rule is changing next year,
Yeah.
so you can have 12 foreigners, and they can all play. They could not. I feel like we have a lot of pretty good Turkish talent as is. I see no problem as far as like keep negotiating, see if you can get them down to reasonable contracts. But if they're like insistent on getting one big final payday, I don't need to see them stick around.
Yeah, I think the rumors right now is that they've been offered 20 million lira, which is roughly 600k.
About right. Maybe 750. I'd max it out at or something.
If they'd sign for that, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But like if they like Salih and Cenk was asking for 1.5 million before this new rule change was announced. Cenk was supposedly asking for 1.5 million. Salih was asking for $1 million plus.
No thanks.
I mean, that's also like it's great that this rule change is coming. Like we can be like these guys don't have that value anymore now. Like
they can't run our club into the ground.
I don't see Cenk. I mean, look, I could see Başakşehir give Cenk that type of money. I could see Başakşehir give Salih that type of money because Başakşehir always seem to have money coming out of their asses. From shady places, but like, I'm not saying nobody's gonna be willing to give those guys that kind of money. But I kind of feel like if Cenk wants to go, he's made so much money in England already. I don't know, man. Like if I was Cenk, I'd just stay with Beşiktaş, finish my career there. Salih, if he wants to go get like 100 or 200k more at Başakşehir or at Trabzonspor, fine, man, go ahead. I won't mind. Cenk, I would regret if he would leave and join another Turkish club. I'd like to see Cenk end his career at Beşiktaş, but then he also needs to be ready to end it, and
he needs to be ready to hang up those boots.
Yeah, he needs to be ready, and if he is not going to improve next season compared to how he is now, he should be hanging those boots up, and I don't think he's ready to hang them up.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess one little side note, Rıdvan Yılmaz just scored. I was just talking about how he never struck me as a super talent, but he just scored for Rangers. No, he's good. But you know what I mean? He's not like semi-level at his position.
No, but like I think Rıdvan, if he wasn't injury prone, I think he would actually be really, really good. Because like every time he's played for Rangers, I keep hearing really positive things. Like he's always one of the better guys on the pitch. The problem is just that he keeps getting injured, and he's just so injury prone.
Well, and so the caveat is, I feel like if he'd stayed with us, right? If we'd done our usual, like, oh, we'll loan him to like Fatih Karagümrük for a year to develop, like, you know, like our ability to develop that kind of talent remains to be seen. But I think no doubt, like clearly with Rangers, he's like finding that next level, and hopefully he'll find another level after that. He just, like I just said, he just scored against Hibernians.
Hibernians, yeah, okay.
That's a side.
That's good. I mean, that's good for him because like, there's a lot of talk of him leaving. But
to a bigger side, right?
No. There's a lot of talk of him going to Galatasaray. Want him?
Oh yeah, that
because Galatasaray are really desperate to offload Angelino, because Angelino has a clause in his contract that if he plays 20 games, they have to sign him for 7 million. So
and let's be serious, he has not been very good for them. I'm not an Angelino guy.
I mean, I think the main thing is I think they just don't have the money, because they spent so much this window to build a really strong side, and they spent a lot of money they didn't have, and they committed to a couple of deals like Ndombele and stuff like that. Ndombele's clause is 15 million, and if that is optional good for them. But if that is a obligation, then they're pretty screwed because he's been terrible. And
do you see how much weight he's put on in Turkey? That man is loving himself some pide or something.
Yeah, he definitely is.
That guy found the küfteci. He's definitely
Definitely.
He's enjoying the local food culture.
For
I will
sure,
say.
sure. Yeah. Anyway, I think for us right now it's just waiting, right? Like I really thought today maybe
Hopefully
something
not
would
waiting
happen,
too long.
Man.
know.
Something needs to happen. They need
When
to.
Sercan was like, "Turn on your notifications," Dick May, for those who don't know, the Dick.
Oh, dude, I was like, yeah.
Here we go. I was like, for our next
something-
episode, we're gonna have plenty to talk about.
Something better effing happen now, because if you just fucking told me to turn on my notifications for nothing, dude, I'm gonna be pissed.
And he did just that.
He did just
Oh,
that.
you know what's worse was Cartel Analyst with that freaking like, Caglar is coming to Beşiktaş,
Yeah,
and then he
man.
edited the tweet. This is why Elon Musk killed Twitter, man. Editing a tweet should never happen. You cannot get 10,000 likes on your tweet because you say something's happening, and then edit to be like, actually, dude, it's a very distinct possibility that could be.
The editing, you can only edit for like a minute or something, though. Like you can't.
I know, but you know how that there were people who were like in celebration mode already.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because our friend Cartel went into celebration mode.
Don't embarrass him. Come on.
Well, dude, because I was gonna say Aaron did too. Aaron on Twitter like tweeted, he's like, yeah, and then he literally wrote this rant. Aaron Armstrong. He reacted. He
I thought you said Aaron.
Aaron. We don't know.
Okay. Aaron. Okay, yeah, Aaron. Oh, was he celebrating too? Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the shit though. Like they shouldn't be like. That's the thing, man. Like shut the fuck up. Let the official account announce it. Because now you bring people's hopes up, and people are desperate for this kind of stuff right now, man.
Exactly.
Especially like after like a week plus of Caglar Söyüncu just going to Fenerbahçe right after they just signed Leonardo Bonucci, and they're just showing off at this point, like, oh, we're gonna bring in Caglar as well, the best Turkish central defender on the market right now. You know, it's like just showing off, and then if then it's like, oh no, he's going to Beşiktash, it's like a hijack almost, and like I'm not a big fan of the hijack move because I always think it blows up in your face, and like Rasička kind of.
But Caglar is a different thing, man. We all want Caglar. We've all wanted him, but it seemed unrealistic.
Yeah, but do we?
He would be at the top of my list as far as a central defender being a very high value, talented Turk. But a central defender is at the bottom of my list as far as needs. So it's like a yes and a no.
Yeah. I mean, look, if it's a permanent move, 100% I'd take it.
Yes.
But the problem is, it's not gonna be a permanent move. I think even if it happens, like because. Yais was talking about Yais was talking about a 6-month loan because obviously Caglar wants playing time for the Euros, but Atletico aren't really willing to let him go yet permanently. They are willing to loan him out, maybe, potentially are willing to loan him out, but they just paid 10 million for him, I think, or was he a free transfer? I think he was a free transfer actually. But yeah, anyway, they just invested money in him regardless. And yeah, I don't know. Like the talk for Fenerbahçe was 6 months. For Fenerbahçe, it would make sense because Fenerbahçe obviously they're mounting a title run, and they just want to stack their roster for the title, right? But for us, getting Caglar for 6 months, what does it do for us?
Yeah, that doesn't do very much.
Yeah, we have nothing to play for this season. We're gonna enter the fourth unless we completely shit the bed. So that we're going to qualify for Europe. We still have the Turkish Cup, but we have third or fourth position. Like that's in the bag if we bring in 2 midfielders, basically, and start getting because there's nobody realistically. Making
Trabzon is playing even worse.
Trabzon is our only rival at the moment, and everyone else is dropping points left and right. So, yeah, I don't know.
Trabzon is even worse than us. I mean, Antalyaspor is something to fear with Sergen in charge. But no, look, I think one final note. I'll take him if there is an option to buy, and even if it's not especially realistic, if it's like 9 million or something, I'd still take it in case. In the summer, something we decide to build that squad, and at that point, then it's like okay, we pull the funds together, sell whatever we can.
That never happens.
And we have that guy locked in.
Remember Abubakar? We had an option to buy him for 10 million and we couldn't.
And then we screwed it.
We just couldn't
do the Abu again
because we didn't have
but
the
I
money.
mean, even just like for that potential option, if we can swing it down the line, I'd do it. But if it's literally just a 6-month loan and then see you later, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's absolutely no point. And again, like, why waste our time on that when we need a midfield?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if 2 midfielders is enough at this point because Amir and what's his name? Amir and Ox are gone for the whole season.
But you can't expect. I mean, look, they could bring in a guy on a 6-month loan, I guess. But like, you can't really realistically expect them to bring in 3-4 midfielders, right? That's just not.
And you know what I wish? I wish that we got 2, and then one kind of like John Bozdoğan type. Like some Turkish kid who might have an upside, who you could swing it on later. But something like that.
Yeah, but we kept Demirege for that, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
All right.
But even still, because like we have 2 guys now, literally. I guess Sally makes it 3.
Yeah.
I guess all right, and then 5. That's almost. I mean, technically you'd want 6, right? Because you have 3.
Yeah.
We're playing with 3. You want a full B team, but
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's another. Do we not have anyone else in the academy? Are there any other midfielders in our academy?
Yeah, there's still some kids in there, but like, I mean, there's a guy that's supposed to be a big talent, and it's Cinemre, but he's only like 16.
Too young still, right?
So that's probably too young, right? And there's some kids, but like what's his name? The captain of the under 19s, I forget his name. He's a midfielder, but anyway, last point that I want to talk to you about this is the Turkish Cup draw, and you already talked about them just now. But we got Sergen and Antalyaspor in the Turkish Cup. Now, I think 3rd or 4th in the league, we should be finishing 3rd or 4th because like Adana Demirspor is not.
They're on the.
Yeah, there isn't Rize are having a good season, so they could definitely make a run, and Antalya now with Sergen maybe and all that kind of stuff. But we should finish top 4. There's no excuse not to. So, how important do you think the Turkish Cup is for us? I mean, obviously it's a trophy, and it would give a grey season some color, but how important?
Well, it's the difference between the Europa League and the Conference League, right? Because that's currently the Cup is the only way into the Europa League, which is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know, man. Like, we're probably realistically more of a Conference League level side than a Europa League level side right now. Although, I mean, I don't know. The Conference League, sometimes it looks better than the Europa League, when you get to those later rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think the money in the Europa League is better, so it would be better if we go Europa League first and then maybe, I don't know, drop down to the Conference. I mean, obviously it's better. Yeah. It's better to
3rd place in the group stage.
Yeah, and it's always better to qualify for the Europa League because then if you fuck up in the qualifiers, you still get another chance at it in the Conference League. Whereas in the Conference League, if you have to play qualifiers and you don't make it, then
you're done.
Yeah, you're done, exactly. But yeah, Sergen and Antalyaspor.
They could be like the thorn which is so ironic.
And it's in Antalya. And guess what? Galatasaray get to play at home against the 2nd division team. Well, we have to go away against the Super League team. Fenerbahce also away against the Super League team. And Trabzon and Galatasaray both get home games against 2nd division teams.
Oh, probably a little political kickback for old time's sake. Oh my god. Sometimes the Super League is just comically ridiculous, It's almost like everything they do is like 5 years too late and reactionary, but here we are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, first of all, Sunday against Sivas, one game at a time. I really hope we have one more midfielder added to the rotation by then. If not, the board is to blame for whatever happens.
Really, the central defender and the midfielder should be a thing, right? By that time.
Yeah, but I don't care. Like I'm fine with what we got on the back line. I really like the midfield, as you said. Like that's why.
But the thing,
it's unfair to Fernando Santos that he doesn't have a midfield.
But like I said, I like the fact that if we do get a central defender, it does give us the option to play Bakhtiar in the midfield, and that just gives us one more option there, I think. Although
we'll see how Fernando Santos
I kind
feels,
of sometimes I feel like a manager comes in and like they see a player as a certain role and they never look at him differently. Like there's so many players I remember. Serdar Kurtuluş, remember him?
Yeah.
He used to be a right back, but then I think Tigana moved him to defensive midfielder, and then every subsequent coach that came never ever played him at right back anymore. It's just always a defensive midfielder. And I kind of feel like maybe that's gonna happen with Bakhtiar now. Like he's just gonna be central defender forever in Santos's eyes. And the same with Simi. Like he's just gonna be a winger forever because that's where he played when he first arrived. So I don't know.
I mean, that would be very channel of Santos, but that's what people say. That's
Turkish,
the claim.
Portuguese channel, right? Yeah.
One funny note, I guess, Sivas is on. It's an early game for everyone, but so now remember, for folks all the way in North America, that's 8 a.m. is what we have on Sunday to watch Sivas. So that should be fun.
Was it 2? Was it 2? 2 in the afternoon?
In Turkey, I think it's 2 p.m. or something. It's like an afternoon, a matinee. But for me, it's going to be coffee and Beşiktaş again.
Let's have a look on my app here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really. I don't know if I'm looking forward to the game. Honestly, like, obviously I'm watching the games, but it's like,
I am again. Right? It's always good to see a new manager.
I'm excited to see Simi. That's what I'm excited
see
for.
Semi.
But I'm kind of done with seeing a team that lacks the quality because the transfers aren't there and they need to come. Simple as that.
You mean you don't enjoy seeing a side that only has 2 midfielders in a 3 midfielder rotation?
Like who's gonna give the ball, man? Who's gonna give that? I mean, who's gonna It's right now. It's hoping for Simi to do something or Rasicka, and that's pretty much it.
And the problem is that there's no one to really supply. Like Semi's strength on the wing is what he can do on the ball, and like no one seems able to get him in a position to do anything because we're lacking the talent, and I think they're also probably starting to key in on him a little, but we should be able to overcome that, and we're just not, with the lack of talent in various positions. Yeah. But anyway,
let's round it off. Sinan, take us out, man, so I can go eat.
Let's go Beşiktaş, everybody! Remember, we have the big Trabzon match the week after next, but we have a full week off, so Kaan and I can record like usual. Peace out, everyone.
See you guys.
Çok güzelsin. Harika.